Thank you for joining the Azure Arc Server Forum. As you've learned, we've had some major updates with the new year, really streamlining the process, and really appreciate you all dialing in. We're going to have a jam-packed agenda today to kick off the year. We're going to have feedback on essential machine management in the Azure Compute Hub with Megan. We're going to have Windows Server hot patching update about that, as well as billing commencement with Vishal. We're going to have TPM-based onboarding with Jackie. We're going to have some feedback about expired stale Arc server connectivity experiences with Mason. And we're going to have a series of updates with respect to SQL Server from Anand. And finally, at the tail end of our call, we want to dedicate some time for Q&A for any customer questions you might have with all of the great Azure Arc experts from product group that are going to be present here during our call. So with that, we'll get started. And first, we wanted to share a quick update on the January release of the Azure Arc Connected Machine Agent. We had a release in January 1.60. There were a couple of security and bug fixes and improvements, but again, a reminder to stay on the latest and greatest Arc Agent version, especially with all of the quality security fixes we're constantly releasing, and that's easier than ever with the auto agent upgrade capability, which is in public preview, which you can opt into as well. With that, we'll get into our agenda, and I want to share Megan, who will speak to the essential machine management capability. So feel free to take control of the presentation. Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. Thanks, Arnav. So my name is Megan McCrory, and I am a product manager on the Azure Arc platform team. And so prior to the new year, I do think I presented on essential machine management, but we do have some updates on our end. And so with this, as a reminder, essential machine management, we've also have it titled or we sometimes call it EMM. This is in preview today. And really what this is, it's an at-scale onboarding experience of the Azure Management Services. So this is across your virtual machine estate inside of Azure, as well as your Arc servers. And what we do is we basically allow you to select a subscription, and then any machines that are deployed in that subscription, whether they're Azure native or onboarded through Azure Arc, they get all of these out-of-the-box configurations. So across monitoring, change tracking and inventory, update management, and machine configuration, we go and we configure these services with some of the best practices from each of the services sides. So like for instance, on the update management side, we go ahead and we enable periodic assessment. And so that means that all of your machines are going to be assessed for updates. This is a really easy way for customers to start leveraging Azure Management Services. And from the Azure Virtual Machine side, really all of these services are free for customers to use outside of the log analytics ingestion from the change tracking and inventory. But all of the other services across the board are at no additional cost. And then from the Arc side, we really do have a complex sort of pricing matrix for a lot of these services. And so what we wanted to do is with EMM, we really wanted to simplify this. And so right now during the preview timeframe, this is free to use, and we're still locking down what the price point is going to be for the Arc side for basically this bundled set of services. So we'll definitely plug in once we have more information on the pricing and be able to share that with you once we have more information from our end. But as of right now, these services are free whenever you enable it through EMM. And then of course, if you're already using things like software assurance, EMM will be at no additional cost for you to leverage as well. With this, we are inside of the portal. And so but today, let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so we can just take a look at things. So let's see here. All right. Is everyone able to see the portal experience?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I think you went on mute, Megan.
Thank you so much, Matoma. I don't know how I did that. But yes, so here we are on the Azure portal experience. And so if I actually come over to compute infrastructure, this is the compute infrastructure hub. And so here we actually have the virtual machine list that we can see. And so what we're actually doing is we're now starting to include Azure Arc machines as a part of this virtual machine list. So now I can actually view my virtual machines and my Arc machines all through here. And then what's new two is that we have this monitoring plus operations. And so here we actually have the machine enrollment, and this is the EMM offer. And so you can see here that I already have some subscriptions enabled, and you'll notice that we already talked about a lot of these things around Azure monitoring with VM Insights, recommended alerts, policy, change tracking, update management. But really what this does is this enablement experience, you can actually select your subscription and then select your manage identity. After that, all we need is the log analytics workspace for change tracking and inventory, and then the Azure monitoring workspace for the monitoring insights. And then if you want to, you can even include security inside of this. So we can actually onboard to, let's say, Defender for Servers Plan 2, and then you review enable. All of this will be at the subscription level scope. And so this means that any machines that are detected within the subscription that exist now or in the future will automatically have these services applied. One thing we are looking at is this is a subscription level scope at this point in time. In the future, we are looking at how we can basically potentially have like an inclusion or exclusion list based off of maybe tags, something like that, just to give you a little bit more granularity, or even like resource group enrollment. And so this is something that we have had some feedback on. So if this is something that you also have feedback, please either raise your hand or throw it in the chat, and we'll definitely just make a note of that. But with all of this being said, this is now inside of the Compute Hub. This is under a private flight link though, so I'll put the link inside the chat window, and we're actually going to start rolling this out likely towards the end of this month for customers, so it will just automatically be in your portal experience. And so this is just the integration that we have inside of Compute Hub, and so we're excited that customers can now start leveraging EMM directly through this experience. But let me pause here and see if there's any questions. And sorry, I've not been monitoring the chat as well. Let's see here. Awesome. Thanks, Pradeep, for the assignment of the different management group levels. That's a good one to know. And yes, Chris, for the service groups, that's another one that we're looking at adding. So you could actually select a scope based off a service group. The way this works in the back end is we actually leverage Azure policy. And so we just are working with the policy team and understanding when they're going to support service groups as a scope that we can assign through policy. But that's definitely something that's on our radar. For what's the difference between this and auto manage? That's a good question. From the auto manage side, that's the auto manage is actually being sunsetted. This is sort of like the next sort of iteration of that, but it is different. With auto manage, there wasn't any policy, or there wasn't any pricing associated to it, and it was a little bit different with sort of these like dev test and prod profiles. But this is sort of, it didn't leverage Azure policy. So there's definitely some differences between auto manage and EMM, but this is where we really kind of see EMM sort of being the future for customers to have an at-scale experience. But yeah, great question, Jerome. I will put the links in the chat window here in just a second. And let's see, are we thinking of including ASR config in EMM? ASR is for Azure Site Recovery. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that's actually really interesting. We are looking at other services like Azure Backup, and we can potentially look at Azure Site Recovery as well. And so this would be one that I think would be beneficial for customers if they could assign it at a scope level. And so we can definitely, I might ping you offline just to learn a little bit more about the scenario there, but it's definitely one that we can sort of put on our backlog, and we can get more details.
Cool. Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And does this waive the $5 per ARC for AUM? Yes, it does. And so basically if you're using software assurance for Windows Server, that means that you do not have to pay for like update management. And so similarly, if you have software assurance here, you wouldn't be charged the bundle price point for these services. It would be at no additional cost. But awesome. Let me see here. What is the purpose of EMM? I feel like it's going a bit too fast. It's free with software assurance, it's free for VMs and Arc-based hybrid. Yeah, so Chomin, the purpose of EMM is really this at-scale, easy onboarding experience, and we're even adding additional sort of, after you enroll, how do we get better sort of insights into these management services across the board? And so really this is a UX, a portal experience, and with simplified billing for the Arc side. And so right now we are looking at having this really be available. It's available for both virtual machines and Arc enabled servers. It's at no additional cost on the VM side. And for the Arc enabled server piece, we will have a bundled price point that's still being determined, but during this preview timeframe that it's at zero, we don't charge for EMM at this time. And so once we actually have a price point for this bundled set of services, we'll definitely report back to this community. In the meantime, though, if you already have things like software assurance, these set of EMM will be free for customers with SA already established. So that's sort of how it will work at this point in time. Yep, and so I will definitely, Gurish, put the flight links to these to the portal experience and to the documentation inside the chat window. This is one where this is a special flight link, and we're going to start rolling this out for everyone at the end of this month. But for now, I'll put the special link inside the chat. And awesome. When will these land in Azure government? That's another good question, Joseph. No timelines at this point in time, but we can definitely put it again on our backlog, and I might reach out to you just to learn more. But awesome. Yeah, no, these are really great questions. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to throw those links in the chat window now, and back over to you, Arnav.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was great. And there's so many questions in the chat. I think we can take some time async to respond to those as those come up. But it's great to see all the questions on EMM. With that, we'll hand over to Vishal for updates on Windows Server hot patch. I did see a question on hot patch as part of EMM. It's not, but its billing has started, and so wanted to have Vishal share some updates with the hot patch capability. So Vishal, feel free to take control of the slides.
Thank you so much. Let me take control. Okay, got it. Hello, everyone. So I will go a little fast on Hotpatch. I hope everyone understands Hotpatch. If not, please, I'll go briefly. But do let me know with any questions and feedback. I'm more looking for feedback and what is holding you back, right? So that's what I'm looking for. So please feel free to put it in the chat window. I'll try to answer as we go along. So hot patching, very quickly, hot patching is basically the ability to install Windows security updates on your server without the need of a reboot. This also applies to client machines, but for this context, for server, we actually allow updates to be installed without needing a reboot. This saves a lot of time for admins who are trying to create those windows, maintenance windows for their machines, bring them out of the pool and trying to patch them. For Azure Arc context, if you have an Azure Arc connected Windows Server 2025 machine, then you can opt into hot patching today. This is already live and is already in GA. How do you opt in? When you go to your Azure management plane in the Azure portal, you should be able to see an option to enable hot patching. Now, the minimum requirement for hot patching for your Server 2025 machines is that you need to have virtualization-based security turned on. So that is a hard requirement from a technology perspective that you need to have. And once you enable it, hot patching will be available to you at a fee, which we'll talk about in a bit. But basically, if you, I see a question around, oh no, this is a different question, but hot patching is not included as part of your software assurance. Hot patching is a separate billing entity altogether. So hot patching is available not on Azure Arc connected machines below Server 2025. On your on your Azure itself, you have Server 2022 Azure Edition and Server 2025 Azure Edition that supports hot patching at no additional fee. So it is available on Azure, but not on-prem on our connected machines. Moving updates. Now, there are two ways to manage the updates, right? One is using Azure Update Manager, which is already configured and tested to be able to use and manage your hot patches for your machines, right? AUM, as you all understand, is a fee-based service. So that means if you have software issues, it comes at no additional fee to you. But if you do use Azure Update Manager outside of software issues, there's a fee associated with using Azure Update Manager. But this gives you the benefits of end-to-end management of hot patching, assessment, and everything for your Arc connected machine. If you want to if you want to waive that fee, or if you want to get away from paying that fee for AUM, you do have an option. There is a blog that we have posted to use APIs to manage updates for your Azure Arc connected machines end to end. And this blog is also listed here. I think the slides will be shared, or if not, I'll paste the link as well on the chat for you all to manage it programmatically, so you don't have to pay this additional fee for AUM. The hot patch pricing as of now is we have it at $1.50 per core per month, right? And so once you enroll, it just keeps billing and you keep getting the benefit. Now, if you are not aware of this, but so if you there is a hot patch cycle that happens. There's 3 month cycle where we actually consider as a hot patch cycle, where the first month is your standard update, where you catch up on your security, non-security, and feature updates, which is say January. Then the next 2 months, which is Feb and March, we provide you with a rebootless security update that keeps your machine secure. It does not contain non-security updates, but just security updates, and that ensures that your machines is up and running. And think of a 0 day scenario where you land up with an out of band update from Microsoft, or a known vulnerability that gets disclosed. Microsoft would release a rebootless out of band update as well as part of the program. So if you have done your rollout of your updates, and then now all of a sudden something happens and you have a 0 day update come out, you don't have to really have a maintenance window. You can just roll it in immediately. So one of the biggest benefits we've seen with our customers using Hotpatch, now that it's been there in the market for many years, is customers have said that they have to bring down the machine for some other reasons other than updates, or maybe updates for third-party applications. So in those scenarios, we've seen them accelerate their security posture by rolling out updates within the first 7 days itself of release of a hot patch, because they don't have to have a maintenance window, they don't have to bring down the machines. The processes can keep running and the machines are secure. And then they can decide if they want to have a maintenance window in the future at an appropriate time when they can install other third-party applications. So that's one of the biggest benefits we've seen over a period of time of using hot patching. There are some documentation links here as well for you all to go and explore this. And if you have feedback, most welcome to please send us at hotpatchfeedback@microsoft.com. Any questions that I missed? Is Hotpatch with Azure Update Manager? Yes, customer managed schedules. Oh, yeah, this is a very good question. Customer managed schedules today is available if you are using an Arc connected machine. But if you're using Azure Edition, right? If you're using VMs on Azure, then customer managed schedules is not available. We are having a discussion internally on how we can have Azure orchestration be updated so that we can be more flexible in terms of scheduling updates for customers, for VMs that are on Azure. Can I use Azure Hybrid Benefit? I am not aware. I have to go and find out. So I think that the same question, hot patching is available on-prem on Azure local at no additional cost. Yes, this is only for 2022 Azure editions, VMs that you have running on it, not 2019. And hot 21 per core, so it looks like hot patching is supported for Azure Arc. Could you please reiterate? Yes. So Hot patching is supported if you have Azure Arc connected machine. You can opt into hot patching. Yes. Is there an ETA for hot patch for GCC tenants? So when you're talking of GCC tenants, I think you're talking about. Are you talking about the VMs that are hosted in GCC environments in Azure, or are you talking about government devices that are Azure Arc connected and needing hot patch? A government cloud. Okay. So yes, so we are working on that. There was a challenge with Azure Edition, but I think that's taken care of. So yes, we should be able to support that. I have to get a firm confirmation to make sure that this is working there. But the code and everything exists in GCC to support this. Can you set up an exclusion group and schedule them over consecutive days? The rollout, you mean, Chris? Okay. So the rollout, I will have to get back what is the option there from AUM perspective. But if you're using your API, of course, you can manage your schedule yourselves. Cool. Anything else that's stopping you from using hot patching on Azure Arc connected machines? Please do let me know, right? We want to make sure that we can actually tackle them and make sure this is available to everyone. I think it's a big benefit. Long time back, I don't want to date myself, but like over 15, 16 years back when I was not in Microsoft and working somewhere else, I used to manage like updates on server. And at that point of time, at the middle of the night, I used to have maintenance windows when I would be awake and trying to patch the machines. Having this benefit of hot patching definitely gives me a lot of bandwidth to do other stuff and not have to worry about a maintenance window in the middle of the night and save my weekends. So yes, it is beneficial, and I want to see and want to make sure everyone can benefit from this. This is a value that we are bringing to customers from this pain point of having to have these maintenance windows. Third-party patching. Third-party patching is not part of hot patching as of now, and yeah, so this is just Windows update for now. And in terms of .NET framework, right, and not .NET Core. So the .NET Core piece updates, security updates are released on the baseline months, which is the first month of every quarter, so that it aligns with the hot patch baseline as well. And in terms of the core, in terms of the framework, the .NET framework, that's an open source, so that we do not manage the updates, so that can be that comes out and that comes out on their own schedule. And if you need them, then you have to install them at your own schedules. Yes, hot patching can be rolled back. The only challenge with hot patch when you roll back is it's not rebootless. So it will have the normal behavior as you do a rollback of any other update. So when you do a rollback of a hot patch, it does need a reboot. But if you have hot patched a machine, you can reboot that machine as many times as you want without getting off the hot patch train, right? So that is not the problem. So if you want to reboot the machine just for any other reason, then you can always reboot it. If you are using like any other management tool that does not have this feature, then this basically the API code that we actually released, the examples, that should definitely help you manage those, like have those teams also then pull in these type of APIs and then use it to manage hot patches. And if you have any other blockers, please do let me know. We are really working hard to make sure that we can meet where the customer is and help out with this particular feature, especially because it's so close to my own past experience. So. Can Hotpad be set a timing so we can fit on our meetings? Yeah, so this is something I'm actually bringing it up today as well. We have an internal call and I'm bringing this up, like how can we make it more flexible in terms of maintenance window? And yes, I will get back. But please, if you have a specific scenario where the current methodology doesn't work for you, please do let me know. I want actual scenarios where why something would not work for you so that we can build the case of building more flexibility in the way we roll out the updates for hot patches. And just for clarity, right? Like you do not necessarily need an AUM, you don't necessarily need an API. If your machine is on a hot patch train, then even a Windows update scan would give it the right update, right? Without taking it off the train. So if you're on a baseline, which is the first month, first update, first patch Tuesday update of the month, of the quarter, then you would be on the train till the next baseline. So you don't really need anything, it's just a scan and updates. Does Hotpatch require any public network connectivity? Nothing other than just you have your Azure Arc connected for licensing purposes, and then you have your Woo connection just for the updates. Guest VMs on Azure Local support Hotpatch, but not the Azure local host itself. Correct. Yes, Edwin, you're absolutely right. Today we do not support the Azure local host. There was some discussion, but I think we'll bring it up again and see if you feel this is an important scenario, please flag it so we can then work with our internal teams to make this happen. Any plans to include third-party patching? Okay, so Chris, it is the number one. Okay, request from our customers and it is a roadmap. Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Vishal. I know we do have a little bit of tight timeline. It would be great if you can respond to the rest of the questions async. But great to see all the feedback and excitement for Hot Patch. And again, folks, reminder that the billing has started, as Vishal had shared, based off of that pricing. Great. So with that, we'll go into the TPM onboarding, I believe. I'm not sure I'm able to take back control of this presentation. One second. Vishal, are you able to give me control of the presentation?
Yes, I just stopped presenting, so maybe you can take control now.
Okay, perfect. Let me start presenting again. So next, we're going to share the TPM onboarding with Arc Server, and we'll have Jackie share that.
Okay, hi everyone. Nice. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jachi. I'm from Arc for Server's ACCM agent team. And can I control this slide? Oh, I can.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'll be introducing TPM-backed agent. TPM, it's a new security feature that we're introducing, very exciting for both Windows and Linux machines. TPM is trusted platform module. It's a hardware chip that's directly embedded within the hardware, and it's used for protecting cryptographic keys and credentials. It's already being used for Windows security for features like Windows Hello and BitLocker. And so for the agent, we're going to leverage it for security purposes as well. Every Arc for Servers connected agent resource has an identity associated with it. And that identity, the root of trust for that identity is secured on the agent itself. And this is where we're targeting is that we want to secure the identity keys with the TPM chip, going through a process called attestation to protect that identity on the machine to ensure the credentials and keys could never be exfiltrated off the machine and therefore prevent identity theft. And we're introducing a very similar onboarding process so that it's very easy to onboard to a TPM-backed agent. With that, I'm going to quickly show a demo for a Windows machine. Let me share screen of how to onboard a TPM-backed agent. Is this showing?
Yep, it's showing.
Okay, thanks. So first of all, I want to check if TPM is available on this particular machine, and I can go to WinR and then tpm.msc. So that's the TPM management plane, and it says TPM is ready to use. And to note that for this feature, the hard requirement is we need 2.0 version as noted here. So aside from this, we can also, this is just a PowerShell window, use the PowerShell get TPM command that is showing TPM is present, ready, enabled, activated, and the other panel will show that this is a version for 2.0. Okay, and then now I have this agent already installed on this machine. Quickly show AZCM agent show, and it's in the disconnected status. And now I want to onboard this agent to TPM. This is the command that I'm going to use. So I'll be using the -- verbose option just so that we can take a peek at behind the scene for the processes of onboarding. That's a little bit different from the default method that we're using right now. And then importantly, this is the flag that we're adding, the identity key store TPM, showing that we want to use TPM-backed agent. So use TPM-based onboarding. So I'm going to hit enter. It's detecting some machine properties, going through endpoint connectivity check, and I'm using the default option to use device code to onboard. So in another window, I just did the device code authentication. Here, it created the resource. And it pops up that it's initiating TPM attestation flow. So this is trying to establish the root of trust between the machine and our data plane.
Jackie, can you please make your terminal a little bigger?
Sure. Is this okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. So that has finished onboarding. So you can see that it's a little bit slower, but not too much from the default onboarding process. I'm gonna do a quick AZCM agent show. Why is it popping? Showing that, okay, this is connected, and I'll quickly go to the portal view. So we are going to make some changes to the portal to make this experience better, more unified, but the property that definitively identifies this being a TPM agent is that we're adding identity key store to be TPM for this particular machine. And yeah, so this machine is properly onboarded as a TPM-backed agent. And from now on, throughout the lifetime of this agent, any identity-related operations will be TPM-backed operations, including token retrieval and provision. Yeah, and public preview is coming soon, so look out for that for the next 1 or 2 agent versions. That is pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is excellent to see. I know it's a great security capability that's going to help a lot of our customers and highly requested as well. So it'll be great to have that in preview in the next few agent releases. Great to see that demoed as well. With that, we're going to move to our next topic. I think this is going to be some feedback about the connectivity state with Azure Arc as well as some opportunities to connect with the Arc product group. So I'm going to invite Mason to share a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Arnav. Hi, everyone. My name's Mason. I'm a product manager on the Azure Arc Server team. We're running a quick survey to learn about your experience with Azure Arc servers that ended up in a stale or expired state. That is, there are leftover or unused Azure server objects remaining in the Azure portal that typically are not used or no longer needed. We want to understand what's working, what's getting in your way, and how we can make managing or cleaning up these servers smoother. It's just 4 simple questions. The link is on the screen, or you can scan the QR code, and I'll paste the link in the chat also. Your feedback will directly help us improve and make the experience smoother. So yeah, we really appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this, and if it's looking forward to the insights. Short and sweet. Back to you, Arnav.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mason. I know we've got a lot of feedback about what to do with disconnected servers, what to do with expired servers, and kind of how to regain connectivity. So I think this is a great forum for customers to provide feedback. So it would be great also if you could put that link into the Teams chat as well for folks to sign up.
Will do.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mason. With that, I'm going to hand over to Anand, and he's going to do a lightning round of a bunch of the different updates we have with respect to SQL Server, Arc-enabled SQL Server, and all of the updates and conference presence they had with the tail end of Ignite last year in November and December. So with that, Anand, if you want to take over control of the presentation and share all of the awesome updates coming from the Arc-enabled SQL Server side of the world.
Thanks, Arnav. Let me try to take control of the slide. Okay, I guess I have the control now. Hi, everyone. I'm Anand. I'm a product manager in the Arc-enabled SQL Server team. And as Arnav mentioned, we have a few announcements that we want to discuss today. It'll be a little bit quick because we have a bunch of them and I want to make sure that we cover all of them. So if you have more questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me or any other person in the Arc-enabled SQL Server team, and we'll be happy to provide you more details as well. But let's get to it. So the first one that I want to talk about is we have launched a new SKU. This we announced at Ignite, a new SKU for Azure SQL Managed Instance, general purpose. We have provided a new update to it, which is, I would call it not just an incremental update, but it's a leap forward. The upgrade delivers tremendous value at no additional cost, making SQL Managed Instance even more powerful and more appealing than ever. So let me give you a quick rundown of why am I calling it such a game changer for your workloads. We have made several improvements. First of all, in terms of performance. We have redesigned the storage architecture to use premium managed disk, which now delivers 3 to 5 times better performance. Second enhancement is in terms of scale. You can now host up to 500 databases per instance compared to 100 before. Third is with regards to capacity. So we have doubled the storage to 32 terabytes per instance. Fourth enhancement is in terms of flexibility. We now have introduced a configurable memory slider. So you can tune your memory per vCore to match your workload needs. So let's say if you have a analytics heavy or memory intensive application, you can allocate more memory without over provisioning compute. And finally, we have launched vCore flexibility model. So you can scale up or down with confidence, knowing you are paying only for what you need. And here is the best part. All of this comes at the same price as before. So no extra cost, just more power, more scale, and more flexibility. So please go and try out the next gen general purpose instance if you haven't tried yet. We announced it at Ignite and got very positive feedback. Moving on to the next enhancement. This is another feature we launched at Ignite. There is a migration experience generally available in Azure Arc. So you can do no downtime migrations from any SQL Server instance that is Arc enabled to any SKU of Azure SQL Managed Instance, including the next gen that I just talked about. The migration that in the Arc Migrations portal, it is done through real-time replication, and it's powered by Managed Instance Link, which we call MI Link also, which you may be familiar with. And I'll talk about it a little bit more into detail in further slides. This new experience will provide you a streamline end-to-end experience assisted by Copilot. So we have also embedded Copilot in it for giving you help wherever needed. And then let's talk about more details of it. So this slide shows you the big picture of the new migration experience. What we have done is we have essentially taken all the migration building blocks, which we identified as 4 steps in migration. We took all the building blocks, all the which are right now available in different tools, and then built them into one portal, one workflow, right into the Azure Arc portal itself. So we call it Azure Arc Migrations Portal. And so if you look at this statement, there are 4 major phases in any Arc migration workflow. It starts with assessment, which helps you to understand the migration readiness for your Arc-enabled SQL servers and getting recommendations upfront. Second step is in-portal provisioning. Once you have got the recommendations, you can select your Azure target Azure SQL managed instance where you want to migrate to. Third is real-time replication, which allows you to migrate the data with as I mentioned earlier, with no downtime. And then lastly, it also helps you to make a confident cutover for switching over your clients and wrapping up with your migration. All these pieces combine into a single cohesive process, and the outcome is that you can potentially complete an end-to-end migration in days instead of just months using this migration workflow. Now that we have seen the overall picture of it, I'll just quickly give with little bit of time, we'll try to give a quick rundown of each step, what all we have there. So first, starting with continuous assessment. For any SQL server that you onboard to Azure Arc, the system will immediately begin a migration assessment. And it will also provide you the best fit recommendations. It will gather information for the recommendations. It will gather information such as your SQL version, database sizes, features that are used, and then it will recommend the best Azure SQL SKU that you should migrate it to. For example, it might tell you that one of your this on-prem database would best fit on 8 vCore general purpose managed instance with a 2 terabyte storage, or perhaps an Azure SQL VM if that's more appropriate. So this will help you ensure you choose the right target and don't over provision in Azure. Another aspect of this continuous assessment is that it's always up to date. That's why we call it continuous, because Arc doesn't just run this once. It continuously updates the assessment on a regular schedule. So let's say if your environment changes, say you upgraded a database compatibility level, or you applied the latest CU, the assessment will catch that in the next cycle, and you will always have a current view of readiness. So it won't be like you ran your assessment 3 months ago and now it's out of date. That you won't run into that situation. And then lastly, it's actionable and free. What I mean by that there is no cost for it, and it's actionable in the sense that it won't just tell you whether a SQL instance is ready or not ready. If in case it's not ready, then it will tell you why and how you can fix it. Building upon on the assessment side, we also have a migration dashboard for at-scale assessment needs. So at this dashboard, you can see all of your Arc-enabled SQL servers in one place, and you can see their migration readiness. So it will show which instance or databases are ready to move, which have issues, with details left on those issues details on what those issues are, and even estimated Azure cost and sizing recommendations for each. So this will really help you to give a portfolio-wide view, and it will help you with planning. After you have looked at the assessment, the next step is provisioning a new SQL SKU in the Azure portal. So traditionally, it meant that you have to go to a separate step in Azure portal, but with Arc, now we have made it part of the workflow itself. So when you reach the provisioning page in the Arc migration workflow, you will have 2 options. You can either select an existing SQL MI that you already have, or you can create a new one on the fly. And if you choose to create a new one, you will see the options to configure the next-gen Azure SQL MI also that we earlier discussed. Quickly moving on to the next step is real-time replication. So at this point in our migration journey, we have our source on-prem SQL Server, and our target is provisioned in the Azure portal. Next part is about moving the actual data over. And this can be often the trickiest part because nobody wants a long downtime. So therefore, in Azure Arc Migrations workflow, we have a real-time replication method which uses SQL MI. And how does the SQL MI work? If you are familiar with the distributed availability groups, this MI link essentially uses distributed availability groups under the covers to continuously replicate your data from on-prem SQL Server to the Azure SQL Managed Instance target. And the only difference is it's similar to the DAG, distributed availability group. The only difference is in this case, it's the AG is spanning from your data center to Azure. Now, after you have done the assessment, you have provisioned the target, you have migrated the data. The last step is to do the cutover. That is routing all of your users and applications to the new database, and you have to ensure that you haven't missed anything. And Azure Arc has a feature to help there as well. In the Azure portal, once you have migrated the data, you will get to see a new view called SQL Server Connections. And this view will show you the list of all clients, which could be applications, servers, IP addresses that have connected to the SQL instance that you have just migrated. And along with the metrics, like how much each of those have read or written, what was the connection duration, etc., all that information. And essentially what it's doing is it's mapping out who is talking to this database and how. So you can use this information to figure out which applications or users are the ones you need to notify or manage during the migration. So you can look at that information, contact those users or application owners, and then make sure that everything is pointing correctly. And then lastly, as I mentioned, Copilot has been integrated into the Azure Arc Migrations portal. So throughout each of the phases, whether it's assessment, provisioning, replication, or cutover, you'll have AI assistance available via Copilot. So I would say a unique aspect of this migration experience is also that it's not just automated, it's also intelligent. You will see a little Copilot chat or prompt on the site in the Azure portal as you perform the migration workflow. And these are some of the ideas these are some of the ways you can use Copilot, but of course you can come up with more ideas as well. So this was all about the migration workflow. And then lastly, I just want to talk about some more enhancements that we launched since the last 2 months, since we had this monthly forum last time. Since then, for Arc-enabled SQL Server, we have now the Azure Government Virginia region supports failover cluster instances. That wasn't there earlier. And as many of you might be aware, we do have Azure Arc support for government portal in the Virginia region. Secondly, we have the SQL Server instances starting with 2025 now supports managed identity. So the SQL Server itself gets a managed identity, and you can use it to authenticate. And then lastly, using this managed identity support, we have also launched backing up to Azure Blob Storage. Earlier, you could only back up to the local storage. Now you can use this backup to URL functionality and store your backups in Azure Blob Storage as well. And of course, it uses managed identity. So these were the enhancements, all the enhancements that we have made in last 2 months. Just I wanted to for the Arc-enabled SQL Server and wanted to highlight them. And then before I end, I just want to announce one more thing. For the very first time, we are hosting a SQLCon in Atlanta. It will be in March 16th to March 20th. So we would like to see all of you there. Please sign up using the link here, sqlcon.us. This will be the first one. We'll be talking a lot about new enhancements in Arc-enabled SQL Server and a lot of other SQL functionalities, enhancements, and there will be a lot of experts there. So we all look forward to see you. That's all from me, Arnav. You can take it back.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anand. That's a lot of great updates, and hope folks are able to sign up for SQLCon as well if they want to learn even more. With that, that's a wrap in terms of our planned programming So I'm going to stop recording at this point, and we're going to still have a bunch of folks from product group online. So if there's anyone that wants to go off mute, customer that has questions that you have for product group, this is a great forum to ask that as well. And so we're going to be opening up the last 10-15 minutes of these forum sessions for sort of office hour Q&A going forward. So if you want to stick around for that, please feel free to. Otherwise, feel free to drop off. And thank you all again for joining the first session of our 2026 Arc Server Forum. Really appreciate it, folks.